Good morning and welcome to this week's IGTV. Today I'm talking about why encouraging your teen to care about school, maybe do their schoolwork, or any other part of their life is actually backfiring. So if you're a parent of teens and you are doing your best to care and encourage your teen, to motivate them, to keep them from running into some significant maybe consequences if they fail out of school, if they, that can impact their college years or the opportunities available to them, and you can't figure out why all of your loving and beautiful intention to encourage them is not working, then this one is for you. I want you to stick around and listen because I'm going to walk you through it. My name is Allie Payne. I am a certified life coach, certified relationship systems coach, one of the first 70 people in Canada to hold both designations. I have been empowering parents of tweens, teens, and young adults for 17 years now to end the painful disconnection, the baffling blow-ups and stressful silences, to build lasting relationships based on mutual trust and respect. I was a very troubled teen. I was very angry. My home environment did not work for me. It was very perfectionistic based. I was in constant anxiety, even though I had it all together on the outside, award-winning athlete, straight A student, until I didn't. And I tanked and I went from straight A's to F's and failing out. I did fail courses and I had to go back and retake them. But Exhibit A, I'm still alive and almost employable. So yay me. So I want to tell you, what I'm going to share with you today is not only from my own perspective as a teen, where my parents did the best they could, of course, with what they were taught, because they did not have access to a lot of this information that we have now, okay? And also having raised two teenagers. My oldest is autistic, autism spectrum disorder and ADHD, and I also have ADHD. So if this sounds like something that you are frustrated with because encouraging your teen is getting your teen absolutely nowhere and it's not working, all right, let's chit chat. So I was just having this conversation with a parent in my 5-day challenge that I'm running, and this is I wanted to talk about it today because it's just so prevalent. It's so real. And this parent, I want to be real clear. This is not parent shaming. This parent is not broken, bad, stupid. No. This parent is deeply loving and doing everything that you and I were taught, which by the way is outdated now, and it actually was about 40 years ago, but nobody told us that, to help his son. So what he posted was, how do I encourage my son? How do I encourage my son to work harder at school, to care more about school? Like, he has a GPA of 2.6 and I'm like, this needs to kind of pick up. Like, I know he has what it takes. I know he can do it. But I don't know, I'm afraid of what to say for making it worse. Like, I don't know what to say. I just want him to care about school. That's it. I just want him to care about school and do the school. Okay. And then another parent, also caring and courageous parent, chimed in and said, yeah, me too. I'm just looking at my notebook, by the way. Me too. I'm afraid of how this will impact his future if he doesn't pick up his grades now. And again, as a student who went from straight A's to F's and failing out and had to redo classes, I get, yeah, sure, that was a challenge. And I'm going to tell you, it was kind of humbling to be the only grade 12 student sitting in the back of a grade 11 class, because the way my timetable worked out, that was the only way I could retake that class. So that was a very humbling experience in my grade 12 year, to be retaking grade 11 classes that I had failed, and I'm sitting in the back and they all know who I am and some of the year that I had, and I'm sitting at the back. Yeah. Was it a growth experience? Yeah. Do I regret it? No. Did I think that I was sitting there because my parents weren't good parents? Was I sitting there having to retake classes because my parents let me down? Because they didn't, consequence me enough or punish me enough to get me to change? No. Trust me, they did those things. And they do care about me. And they knew that I was capable of more. The way that I felt let down, not that they did let me down, okay, because I want to say again, they were doing the very best they could with what they knew. The way I felt let down was not because of encouragement. So this is the disconnect, okay? So these parents are trying to encourage their teens. Now, so I went into the dictionary, because that is my friend, the dictionary of until language defines your world. Language will limit your life or language will liberate your life. Until you understand what you're doing and what it actually is called. And so much of this comes from our generations of misunderstanding of what we're calling our behavior or calling a relational tool and thinking it's the right thing to do and it's healthy because that's what we were taught, but really it's not. So I looked up the definition of encouragement, okay? So there is a secondary definition. It is not the first one. I will talk about that in a second. The secondary definition of encouragement is this: to give advice so your teen will do something. That is one of the definitions of encouragement, and it is the secondary definition, not the primary. It's a secondary. But type yes in the comments if that's the version of encouragement that you grew up with, right? That's the version of encouragement. It's like, yeah, Allie, not stupid. I got that part, right? To give advice or try and offer help so that they will do something. Now, the insinuation is that you want them to do something they currently are not doing. Do you get what I'm saying? Are you catching what I'm throwing here? You are wanting to offer support so they do something they're not currently doing. That is how, yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Susie. So that is how you and I were raised to believe that encouragement looks and feels. And so what do you think that you would then go offer your teenager when their GPA is starting to drop and your fear is being triggered because you're watching their motivation just like tank faster than throwing a rock off the side of a building. And you know that they are capable of more. So you go to encourage. Okay, here's what happens. And I'm telling you this from having been that teen and then also trying to do this with my own teens and realizing that didn't work because they told me so. So I want to break down that definition. To give advice so they do something they're not currently doing. So first of all, giving advice to your teenager who's not asking for it, or anybody for that matter, will not work. Your advice is actually coming from, your advice has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with their current experience. Your advice is really more of a command, request, firm request. Yeah? Your advice is more of a firm request for them to start doing what they are not doing. It is about you. Your advice is about wanting them to change, requiring them to change. Now, if I came to you and let's say, because we all have challenges and struggles, right? We all have challenges and struggles in our lives all the time. If I came to you right now and gave you that kind of encouragement, that by definition was advice from my life, when I'm not living your life, so I don't know really, like even if you're my child, and this is, I think, what happens, is you know what it's like to be your teen. And you don't. You don't know what it's like to be your teen. You were a teen. Yeah. And you probably came through some hard things, and you know what you wished you would have had, and you know what did work and what didn't work. Sometimes as adults, you remember what that was like, and sometimes you totally forget. So you're going and giving your teenager advice based on what you want, what you think is true, what you feel should be happening, not necessarily what's true for them in the moment. So this version of encouragement, it requires your teenager to change in some way, right? Give advice so they do something they're not doing. It requires them to change. It's requiring them to change in a way that works for you. Now, I know you might be coming at me being like, well, duh, Allie. It's not about changing for me. It's about changing so they actually might get to go to college, and they actually might get a good job with a good education and not live at home till they're 30. That's not my standard, Allie. This is the standard of the world, and this is how it rolls. I got it. I'm not denying that there is value in education. I'm not denying that. I'm saying that your advice on how to get them to care more about school in that moment is about you. It's about changing to your standards and your comfort level. Because I'm gonna newsflash here. Did you know that parenting is one of the most ego/shame based roles that you will ever play in your life? Oh, I do. Woo! I was all about how my kids needed to make me look good. 100%. I was all about how my kids needed to make me look good. They needed to be the most polite kids in class. They needed to be the kindest. They needed to be the smartest. They needed to be the most athletic. Who does that sound like it's about? Me! It was about me. I wanted them to be good kids, so my ego and therefore insecurity was rest assured, that I was a good parent. That's actually scientifically proven, so don't come at me for that one, okay? So the more you're encouraging them by giving advice to get them to do something, you're asking your teenager to caretake your fear. And this is what this parents were chiming in on this conversation is, I'm afraid of how this will impact his future. Yes, that is your fear. And I'm not saying it's invalid. I'm just saying your comment is coming from a place of, I need you to change so I don't feel afraid. That's where it's coming from. I need you to change. I need you to care. I need you to start freaking participating in your education, engaging in it, so I don't have to face the fear of not being a good parent, having a child that fails out of school, having a child that has to go to summer school, having a child who struggles in school, because obviously if your child is struggling in school, you're a bad parent. All of this BS messaging, right? It's not true, okay? You are asking your teenager to change to be who you want them to be, because this version of you is not it. So stop it. I love whoever gave me that thumbs down. I hear you. I see you. So you're asking your teenager to be the version of themselves that you like. And what your teenager actually hears, and I'm saying this from my own experience too, what your teenager internalizes is, I don't love this version of you. In fact, I don't love you when you behave this way. So I am going to use more consequences and punishment of some version, some kind, to force you to change, which what your teenager interprets from that is, oh, I see. Your love for me is conditional. This is what your teenager is thinking. I know because I did it. And my parents were doing the very best they could. Your love for me is conditional. You only love me when I make you look good. What your teenager learns is that their entire value or worth as a human is equal to their external results. their performance, grades, percentages. That's their worth to you. That's when they are worthy of affirmations. That's when they are worthy of treats or rewards for grades. That's when they are worthy of being talked up to family because you did so well at school. That's when they are worthy of your time and affection, is when they perform. And when they don't perform, look out. Because that is not what is going to happen with all of your loving and very well-intended encouragement. And this is why your encouragement is not working. Now, let me go back to the primary definition of encouragement, which I said I would share, okay? This is right from the dictionary. The primary definition of encouragement is to give support, to build confidence, and offer hope. That is the primary definition of encouragement. And that is, in fact, I know what you're aiming for. I know that's what you are aiming for, 100%. I also know that is desperately what your teenager needs the most, is the primary definition of encouragement. To give support, build confidence, and offer hope. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, again, I have no question that your entire intention is for your teenager to see the greatness in them that you see in them. You're their parent. Nobody sees their potential more than you, of course. So you want them to fulfill that potential, maybe even experience opportunities you didn't get in your life because of how you have sacrificed for them to this point, financially and time alone, raising a child. You want them to have opportunities to be their best self, to explore their individual talents and gifts to the best of their ability, have this amazing life, right? Of course you do. Of course you do. So the way to encourage in a way that offers support, so to give support means you must first acknowledge and see your teen where they are at in their own experience. See, that's the dichotomy with advice. Advice is, I only see the external of what's going on, and I'm going to give you the formula to change it based on my experience and beliefs of what I see. But it's because it's based on your perspective of life, your whole, right? Whereas to give support means you must first see your teen where they are at in their experience. And that, my friends, is called empathy. That's one of the number one tools that I help parents to internalize in their work to see their teen. Now, the biggest piece of resistance in using empathy is because it feels soft. And this is exactly what this conversation ended up in the chat, is, but if I use, I hit my light. If I use your version of encouragement, Allie, and I use empathy, what if they tell me they hate school? And I said, they might, but at least you are no longer forcing something of yours down on them, and you are seeing where they are and what is true for them, because how else do you actually offer support? So this gorgeous dad, like, bless his heart. I've got more dads in this program than I've had in a long time. And I'm just like singing hallelujah for these courageous men wanting to lead in a different way. And so this dad said, okay, but if I offer empathy, which is the primary definition of encouragement, and I say, okay, it must be, this is what empathy sounds like, is it must be feel annoying to you to have to do schoolwork when it seems so irrelevant to, what's going on in your life, or you don't see the relevance of it for your life. And he said, what if he says, yeah, I hate school? Then I said, well, at least you know where he's at to be able to support him. At least you know. So that's why most parents, like you and I, when we were raised in do not acknowledge emotions. They are very scary. Run if the emotions show up. Because, see, the secondary version of encouragement that you're probably trying is the kind that is intended to deny and suppress what your teenager's feeling to get them to simply behave in the way that you want. The problem with that is science has already shown us multiple times over that all behavior is driven from emotion. 100% of it, all of it is driven from emotion. So the primary definition of encouragement that would include empathy is including your teenager's feelings. I know, I get it. It feels like it's being permissive. It feels like it's pandering, like raising a snowflake, pansy ass. I get all of it, okay? I get it. Yeah, keep your chin up. Yeah, and yes, I understand. Yeah, Susie. Our parents did the best they could, right? They were also taught to run for the hills from emotions. I understand that. I get it. Don't placate your teenager's emotions or they're going to go soft and be an entitled brat. Yeah, I know. I get it all the time. I get it. Unfortunately, it doesn't align with the science. So, okay. So I want to finish this. So, empathy is about seeing your teenager where they're at. And this dad was saying, but what if, but I'm afraid of where he's at. That's why I'm trying not to hear it. I'm trying to ignore it. I'm just trying to convince him to change, right? And that's why it's not working. So I said, I'm trying to tell you how this is going to work. And his fear was really valid again, because there's this thought that if you validate your if you actually elicit, God forbid, your teenager's feelings and you hear them and validate them, they're going to get bigger. So the problem will get bigger, right? That was what this dad was saying. He said, but if I actually give him room to say, I hate school, then this problem is going to get worse. Because that's not what I want him to think or feel. And I'm like, well, it is what he thinks or feels. So how's it going trying to change his mind? How's it going so far? It's not. So either you acknowledge what he thinks and feels about school and you come along beside him that way. It's not going to expand his hatred or fear of school. It's actually going to give it air, because now you're not like holding the lid on a boiling pot. You're taking the lid off. Bringing the boil down. Be like, oh, I see your fear there. I see how irrelevant you think this is. I get how stupid this feels to you. So now you haven't just taken the lid off the pot. Now you can be part of actually turning the burner down. Because we all know a boiling pot's going to keep boiling unless you go to the source, right? So to build confidence, you cannot build confidence in anyone unless you know where they are currently at. So as far as school, his son saying, yeah, I hate school. I don't feel like it's relevant. Remember that all avoidance comes from fear. All avoidance comes from fear. Well, if you don't know what they're afraid of, how are you supposed to build confidence? Because building confidence is not about convincing somebody. I don't know if you know that or not. You can't just convince someone to be confident. That's not what happens. It's an internal thing. So if he knows his son hates school, now we can start to unpack through empathy, giving support, what do you hate about it most? And find out that actually his son's hatred towards school, which is very normal, is often based in fear. Because that's the more powerful version of fear, is when I'm angry at something. But usually behind that is fear. And that fear comes from, I'm afraid of trying, I suck at school, I feel stupid. Okay, now we can work with that. Now I can help build your confidence by acknowledging that you feel stupid, acknowledging you're afraid to try because you have before and you failed and you don't understand it. Cool. Now I can normalize your feelings, which are real and true. So you're taking the lid off the boiling pot and now you're starting to turn the burner down. That is how encouragement was intended. So now you can build confidence to say, okay, what do you feel confident about at school? How can I help you build that confidence? See, now you're not assuming that you know what that should look like, which is advice. Advice is a lot of assuming. And you're offering support by asking, what do you need? And letting in all of this process, none of this has been conditional love. None of this has been the constant consequences and punishment that aren't working anyway. Okay? And getting alongside your teenager in how they're feeling to actually build confidence and help them tie, this is hard for school these days and for teenagers, is to help them tie some relevance to what they want to do in their life and what they believe is fun or what they want to learn, and why certain courses would be important, not all of it, but why certain courses would be important for them to go and pursue that. How can you amplify what they're learning in a way that works for their brain and their learning style, which the school system cannot adapt to every single child's neurodiversity, like ADHD and autism, executive function delays, all of that stuff, verbal processing, auditory, they do their best, but they can't. Use YouTube, go to a shop or a store or a manufacturing or something that is something that they want to do. Find a mentor for them. They want to be a graphic designer. Go find someone in your community who's a graphic designer, who's willing to show them what you get to do, which re-engages them in why this annoying school part might be interesting. That is support. That is building confidence. And here's the last part, because your teenager feels seen. Okay? No one will change until they feel seen and heard for where they are. That's the psychology of emotional and psychological safety. So if I'm hanging on white knuckling for dear life over here in fear, but of course I've masked it with anger and too cool for school, all of that, right? Until I feel seen and heard here, without being asked or forced to change, that I feel valid. To be validated is to be valid. You are real. Your feelings are normal and real and not too scary for me, even when they feel scary for you. They will not release the grip on that position of, I'm stupid, I'm not trying, school is dumb. They cannot psychologically release that position to accept your encouragement as it is intended, the first definition, to begin to open-handed accept some of your actual support, confidence building, and the last part is hope, to offer hope. Hope that even when you struggle, you're okay. That it's okay to not know. That learning can feel really hard and frustrating, especially when you're learning stuff that you don't even think is important. And it's like being a factory worker at 14, that you just got to get up every single day and go to this place from 8 to 4 every day and do things that you would not choose to do because that's your job. I know this feels like permissive parenting. I get it all the time. Unfortunately, it actually is respectful parenting, and it is backed by decades of science and research and behavior change based on connection, communication, resilience, confidence. Those are things that actually change behavior, not more consequences or punishment. I'm not saying there shouldn't be consequences. I think boundaries are a really good thing. I'm just saying, if you're encouraging your teenager and you're getting a whole lot more of what you didn't want, please maybe look at your definition of encouragement. Are you using the give advice so your teenager does something they're not already doing? Or are you looking at the primary definition of encouragement, which is to give support, which requires you to know how they feel and where they're at, to build confidence and to offer hope? If you want more specific support with this, and this is something that you're really struggling with your teen, I want to know you're not alone. You don't need to walk this alone. You don't need to feel so isolated and be worried about constant shaming. Please type school in the comments as soon as I get this posted, and I will get you access to my proven 3-step framework and based on all my years of therapy and what would have worked in my experience raising 2 teens and supporting thousands of parents of gorgeous teens like you, to create the meaningful relationship they want with your teen, where your influence actually means something and your teenager gives a crap about what you're saying and wants to listen. And then actually starts caring about their own life. Okay, you guys, Kate, wait. You have to wait till I get this posted, because as soon as I end the live, it's gonna disappear. Wait! Give me 5 seconds to go and post this so that your comments don't disappear, and I will get you that, okay? Okay, just give me 5 minutes. I just gotta get this posted. Thank you for joining me so much today. I will see you next Thursday. If you're on Instagram, I would love a follow. If you're on YouTube, I'd love a subscribe. Thank you so much for being here.